All right, it's 1:30. We're going to go ahead and begin the work session. Before we go to public comment, well, I guess when we get to the agenda, I'm going to need to remove an item. And if there's any other changes, y'all be ready at that time. Do we have a sign-up sheet? Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I still have the old agenda. We always do public comment at the end of the work session, and I printed out the agenda, the original agenda, and totally missed that that was on there. But of course, that's the agenda I'm working off of. So, A, governing body, I need to remove the downtown music venue discussion. There's going to be some more work done on that item, and it was mainly more for us to think about if our ordinances are lining up with what we say we want done downtown, and to see if we were going to need to work on anything as far as, I don't want to call it the downtown overlay, but our historic downtown, what's allowed, what's not allowed, and make sure that what we've said in our Renaissance program, our LCI, all the other things we've done to take input from the citizens and from us on how we want to revitalize this area, and just make sure what we have on codes and ordinances matches up with what we've said we want. But anyway, we will do that at a different time. Is there anything else that needs to be changed? Everybody's good? Everybody looked at their cover sheet? Yes, sir.
Mayor, I did distribute the letter we've discussed about the Paulding County zoning application. If you want to add that somewhere, I'd be happy to give 2 minutes
Okay.
explanation to council about what that is.
Okay, why don't we put that governing body number 8? Okay, so that'll make our first item appointment to the Planning and Zoning Commission for Ward 1. Ms. Shirley?
I'm looking at my board.
Oh, agenda item, Planning and Zoning Commission, you have an appointment
Yes.
for Ward 1.
All right. Oh. Okay, we had a lady that Miss Love Morales would like to be the representative for Ward 1, so I agreed to that.
All right, so this is to make an appointment to fill the vacant seat
Yes.
on Planning and Zoning
Yes.
for Ward 1, and your recommendation is Luz Morales.
Ms. Morales, yes. She said she'd be here, so she'll probably be here this evening. I hadn't talked to her today, but earlier this week, she did say she was gonna try to be here.
Okay, and of course, we will do that regarding a vote tonight. Anything from y'all before we move on? Any questions about that? Okay, all righty. Do you want that on consent since she's not here, or, I mean, do you think it will matter to your appointment if we vote her on the consent agenda?
I don't think so.
Does it matter to you?
Because she seemed very interested in,
Okay.
before we talked, when she was at the meeting, one of the other meetings, she was
Okay.
saying she want to be involved.
All right, so if she's here tonight, maybe we'll just,
Yeah.
point her out and say hi
Recognize.
after we,
Yeah.
do the vote or whatever, so people can see who she is.
Okay.
All right, so is everyone on board with making that consent item number 1?
Okay.
All right, nobody opposed? All right, appointment to Planning and Zoning Commission for Ward 2. Councilman Montahan.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So my commissioner for Ward 2 is retiring, David Rogers. I appointed him shortly after I got elected back in 2019. He's done a great job in that position, so I thank him for that. Unfortunately, he's leaving the city, so we had to find someone new, and I'm nominating Julie Seppin. Had 3 total applications, and I reviewed them all and spoke with a couple of them, and Julie Seppin is going to be my nomination.
Okay, any discussion by anyone, questions? Anyone opposed to making this consent item number 2?
And I told her that it'll probably be on consent anyway, because she did ask whether or not she should be here. I
It's
said
up
she
to
didn't
her.
really have to
Okay.
worry about it.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, since I took one off, this will be item number 3, Villa Rica Parkway, final plat.
How's everybody doing today?
Hi, Mr. Elliott, how are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm
Good to
doing
see
good.
you.
This item, the first portion of Villa Rica Parkway from Mirror Lake Boulevard down to the creek, for a lack, can you put that up, Teresa? Doesn't go all the way to Cleghorn. It just goes to the creek area. You can see the little squiggly line at the bottom. That's been completed. It's time to record that plat to dedicate that right of way to the city from Jeff Fuquay. There's another issue while we're pending on that. This whole thing started out as the Mirror Lake connector. That's how the whole thing started, and I put together street addressing for all of it, the out parcels, everything there, and then we got all that established with the tax assessor's office. All of a sudden now we're renaming it to Villa Rica Parkway. And I'm like, guys, are you kidding me? It's such a hassle to change addresses after the fact. But anyway, tax assessor, I contacted them and they said, we'll be glad to change them back, but you got to record the plat first. So here we are.
It actually had a couple transitions in names. Originally, I think we called it the Shoreline Extension. So it kept needing to be called something when we talked about it, and that's why the different names. But I think the Parkway is superior to the Mirror Lake Connector because it just ties it to Mirror Lake.
Well, it'll be,
instead of-
if approved, it will be platted as the Villa Rica Parkway.
And it was done at a retreat early part of the year, so it's been several months ago, several months back.
Yes.
And this is recording, just to be clear, this is recording the existing road that is there now, almost down to the end, not quite to Cleghorn.
1,500, I think my agenda cover sheet is 1,570 something feet, I think, down to the creek area. At some point, the remaining portion of that will come along, but for right now, we're starting with this.
Bobby, this may not be a question for you, but I'm just curious. Up there when I'm looking at the map, and it's Fuqua, but over on the far end to the right, that would be toward Taco Bell, property of VP Real Estate Trust. I was just curious, that one and the other one on the far end, N/F property of TWAS Properties LLC. You know anything about?
I'm not sure where you're referring to on the plat.
I'm looking, okay, here. Here and here. I was just curious when I was, looking at the map and all who owned those, because everything else was Fuquay.
Evidently, Jeff Fuquay has already sold those out parcels to the new development that's coming, and those are the people that bought them.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any questions from council? Can we make this a consent item? I haven't gotten back to the other page. Do we have to have,
No public hearing, no.
Specifically, no public hearing for plat approval.
we're good, okay. All right, anyone opposed to making that consent item number 3? All right. All right, Villa Rica Parkway Resolution.
It's the second piece of it.
Like Mr. Mecklin prepared a resolution that I think you all have in the package. Following the last meeting, I think it was the last meeting, council's been, our staff didn't feel like they had the authority to do much of anything as far as the parkway goes, talking to property owners or doing any type of work. So this resolution would give them some guidance on what they can do at this point, and that's the purpose of this.
Okay, so I know I've been a thorn in your flesh on this. We just talked about it. It's the beginning of the resolution. Everything else about the desire to give guidance to city staff concerning the, okay, good, it's up there so everyone can see it, if you can see that far. Concerning the status of the road and giving the mayor and council and, staff direction on looking for alternatives and everything else, what we're doing. The only thing I was concerned about, and you may think I'm being a stickler on this, is where it says for a period of several years, well, maybe about 20, City of Villa Rica has been pursuing a project to connect a road between downtown and the Mirror Lake community. And here is the part. And whereas the city has created a tax allocation district to fund the proposed connector road, and whereas the city also obtained bond proceeds in the approximate amount, I still have the 20 million on mine. You said that's been removed on the other one, to fund the proposed connector road. And then it goes into the fact that we've asked questions. My concern is that when citizens read that, they would believe, based on the words there, that we created a tax allocation district for a road. The plain reading appears to say to me, we have a TAD for a road. Whereas every TAD we proposed around the city of maybe we'll have one down 61, maybe we'll have one over here. This is the only one that had buy-in from the county and the school system and all, was not done for a road. It was done for an entire development in that area that included a road. Tax allocation districts, they might be put together for roads, but usually it has to do with it's a tough to develop area. Either there's a lot of rock or there's something there that makes it cost prohibitive for most developers to even want to touch it. Could be brownfields, could be a number of things that nobody wants to touch it because they don't know what kind of money they're getting involved in. So a tax allocation district makes it more doable. And there was so much rock over there. There's a reason that sat there for decades and nothing was developed. That was my only concern. Anybody else got any input on that?
Mayor, I would like to respond to that.
Okay.
So this particular resolution is specific to the connector in the sense that in the last meeting before I came to the city, is my mic on? Don't sound like it is. So this particular resolution is specific to the Parkway. So in the last meeting, you had made the motion, you didn't make the motion, but you actually made the statement to pause the project.
Mm-hmm.
There was never even any official action taken by the council. So this is specific only to the Parkway. So this gives me, the city manager and staff, exactly what it says, the ability to investigate all potential routes, rerouting, so forth and so on. So that's why you see it specific. I think isn't that a?
Yes, and to address your concerns, Mayor, we could place in that second paragraph, if you've got it in front of you, or where it says, whereas the city has created a tax allocation district, you could place a period there and start a new sentence. One purpose of the TAD, tax allocation district, was to fund the proposed connector.
I would like that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. If you say one of the purposes of the TAD was to fund, I mean.
That's the easy fix.
Yeah.
So.
Because people already have some confusion about what is a TAD, what is a tax allocation district, and everything else. I would appreciate that. And the amount being removed, that was good because that applied to everything, not just the road, and that might be scary to people too. All right, when they read that.
Yes,
Thank you.
And
Can
for
we?
council's purposes, what the mayor's saying on the next paragraph, the sentence now states, the city also obtained bond proceeds to fund the proposed connector road, so the 20 million has been removed.
Can we have that ready to go ahead and take care of it at the voting meeting?
I think so, yep.
Okay.
Unless
All right.
we go until 6 o'clock.
We're not going to do that, right, y'all? We're not going to do that. Every time we look at a short agenda, we're going, hey, this is going to be a quick meeting, and it's never true, right, Joel? It is never true. All right, so we'll hold off on that one and just tweak it a little bit. All right, next item, the WIC building discussion. Mr. Reese.
So council, I wanted to give you an update on the progress of the WIC building. So in way of a background, so the building was moved from what used to be called Cleghorn Street to Powell Park, which this is one of the few instances that I've dealt with where both parties were probably not excited about it. The folks were not excited that it moved from Cleghorn Street, and the folks at Powell Park that live in that neighborhood were not excited that it was moved to their neighborhood. So I began a process trying to figure out what we could do to mitigate that issue. And so what I came up with was to move the WIC building for the final time, I hope, behind the police station, and that's a map you're looking at up there on the screen. And if we had a way to point to that, Nick?
We have a
We got Nick.
laser.
So we got one of my superheroes. All of our employees are superheroes, and Nick's one of those. And so we met with them. I met with them, and we've determined that we can put the building in the lot behind the police station, and do it in a way that it looks nice, especially after Nick gets through with it. And I'll explain that in a minute. But anyway, we have a good time working. But anyway, so we're going to move the building over there. That would be our proposal. So obviously the next step was to meet with the WIC folks at the Department of Health. We did, and they were very amenable. They liked the idea. Actually, they liked it better because it's two things. It's closer to the center of town, and it's also closer to the hospital, which I had not thought about. So they were excited about that, and so we have that agreement, and it will be on your next agenda to be approved. The only thing I'm waiting on now is a cost from staff to let you know how much it's going to cost to move it again. So the funny thing was when we were meeting with them, so Nick was in the meeting obviously, and so he said, "Oh yeah," I said, "We'll move the building over there. We'll put a little sod and some trees, and a little picnic table." And I thought, "Wow, this is going to be really nice." But that's just the kind of folks that we have working for us. So they were really happy about that, and actually put it in their agreement, which I thought was kind of interesting. But all is well. We're going to move the building out of Powell Park. We'll re-landscape that area, and then we'll move the building over behind the police station, and you'll have that cost estimate at your next council meeting.
I am so glad to hear that the building is going to be fixed up. Let's just say I had heard a few comments myself, aside from seeing it go, that thing probably needs a little work, maybe some paint or something like that, but that's good to know. So everybody will be happy. Well,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. Well, when you said they weren't super excited, I thought that is a very diplomatic way to say it.
They were happy. They were excited. Of course, they had already started to make arrangements to go to Powell Park, but I just felt like this was one of the things that we could do, and if y'all approve of that, then we'll move forward with it. Minimal cost. The biggest cost is moving the 3 mobile homes back over behind the police station, but they were happy, and Nick
So-
gets to put more sod down.
We don't really need to take an action other than we're all on board, you're informing us, and,
Yes.
okay.
And the only reason I didn't make it an agenda item was because I met after that with the WIC folks, when they could get together with, so I didn't have time to meet the agenda. But more importantly, I didn't have you a cost estimate. And I just feel like it's important for you to know how much it's going to cost to move it back again.
What did it cost us to move it there?
Right around 30,000.
Okay,
It was
all
a
right.
portion of the original quoted price, because obviously they didn't get to set up or underpin it. Sorry.
Oh,
Okay, on your layout, Jeff, I see a lot of parking going on here. Where are the buildings themselves located?
So originally we have some funding that's already budgeted in this year's budget to kind of make overflow parking back behind here. Was the original intent for downtown events and things like that. So Falcon had kind of drew up something fairly simple, and we've got some water mitigation and some stormwater we got to kind of figure out, which won't be an issue. But right in this dog leg, and you'll have to forgive me, we want to kind of put it right around in this area, facing the back of the police department, or either facing the Avanti right here. And so the hopes is still to provide extra parking for downtown patrons, and to kind of work in tandem with that WIC nutritional building and have it just like an open space that's attractive, for just about anybody. And so that's the intent and the hope. So we'll try our best to make that come to fruition if the council and the mayor agrees to it.
Sounds like a win-win for everybody, because this has been an eyesore anyway. So we'll serve the WIC, it'll serve us, we'll get the additional parking, and we'll fix it up some. So that's good. That's good to hear. Thank you. Thank you.
Miss Mayor, while we talking about the Power Park, can somebody, the sign out there, you can't hardly read the lettering in there. You know, put a little paint in there.
We can take care of it.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
When you go out there, you can't see the letters, the Power Park.
Yeah, that kind of matters. Okay, well, good. Thank you. You can always do report a concern, too. I've used, send in a little thing like a citizen, but anyway. You've got a notation of that, Nick? All right. All righty, so we don't have to do anything on that, just know that it's happening, and it looks like a good thing for us all around. Next item, reduction of speed limit on Clearview Street. Are you doing that, Councilman Momtahan? Is that your item?
Yes.
Okay.
So this, I think this came back, I think the agenda item shows that it was in January, and I'm trying to pull this back up. Let me flip back over again. And the original proposal was to reduce the speed limit from, I believe, 25 to 15, but staff had expressed concerns about a couple of things. First of all, I think there was some issues on enforceability of that speed limit. And the second concern, I think, was speed bumps had already been installed. And kind of what grew out of that discussion back then was this idea that we may possibly be able to explore a school zone. Because I believe what my recollection is the statute says that any road within 1,000 feet of a school property is eligible for a school zone. And so my recollection of why we tabled this until the July meeting, and I know the title is reduction of speed limit on Clearview, but it was actually because the staff was supposed to investigate the ins and outs of whether that can be a school zone. I think there was a concern again about if the speed bumps are on there, does that make it eligible for a school zone, et cetera? And so the reason I asked to be put back on the agenda is because it's July, and I wanted to get an update on where staff was regarding their investigation. I do know that I believe Mr. Elliott has sent some messages to GDOT, and so, and just one of my things is that I talk about this sometimes, that things kind of go into the ether and then we never hear back, and so I wanted to make sure this didn't fall into the ether again.
So who knows the most on the update in regard to school zone? What amount? Thank you.
By statute, any property within 1,000 feet of a school is a school zone.
Okay.
So there's a few issues here. I mean, it is a school zone.
Signage, maybe?
So signage is one issue, enforcement's another issue. So I think you heard from the chief about if there's speed bumps on the road, then they can't get permits to run radar or laser devices on those kind of roads.
Right, and I think
So-
that was 2 or 3 months ago. We were going to say, okay, well, let's confirm that is the case, and what do we do, or what we can't do, and here we go. That we're just kind of hearing the same thing over again that we heard 2 or 3 months ago. I mean, I was kind of expecting an email or a memo or something. This is the analysis that we've done, and
Yeah, we
Here
can,
we go.
you can set the speed as a school zone
mhm.
and put up signs, and you've got the speed bumps out there right now, I think. So you can address, you just have to decide how you want to address the issue. If you're going to address it with signs and speed bumps, you're probably not going to be able to get permits for speed detection devices.
Okay.
If you're going to address it without the speed bumps, you may or may not get
Okay.
permission to use detection devices on the road.
The speed bumps seem to be doing their job.
Correct. They do.
I don't think we want to go down that road.
But
Um,
but kind of what arose in my mind also was, I don't believe in, if somebody drives down there more, maybe they've just seen them and I haven't seen them, but I don't believe there's any school zone signs on Rocky Branch. I don't believe there are any on Wall Street. So, I mean, if it's anywhere within 1,000 feet of a school property, then what about that? I mean, this is kind of, I know this has grown out of what with the original conversation, But that was what I thought 2 or 3 months ago when we tabled this, was that we would have an analysis done. Option A will yield these results. Option B will yield these results. Option C yield those results. Staff recommends X, Y, or Z, and the council will have something to chew on this afternoon. That was my expectation.
Yes, Mr. Elliott, you're patiently waiting.
Well, recently, and I think Mr. Moplahan was copied on the email we got back from Grant Waldrop. Chris Raymond is the DOT district transportation engineer out of Cartersville that handles this district. Pretty much it said that if we want to, the plan is to have school zone established and to have it added to our radar list. GDOT would require some analysis be performed. I haven't heard back from Chris on exactly what kind of analysis he wants. But I do know for a fact that if you establish a school zone and it does get placed on the radar list, those speed humps are going to have to go, because GDOT will not approve it with speed humps on it.
What if we just have a school zone and we don't seek the radar approval?
Right.
We just want what works.
Exactly.
You know, the idea is to get to the end goal. The end goal is to slow people down, and speed bumps are there 24/7. The police can only be there so often.
Let me get a response from Chris exactly, if we want to go this route, what do we got to do? If we want to go this route, what do we got to do? And I'll find out exactly, to establish a school zone and to leave the speed humps in place, what's required from GDOT. If nothing's required, then it's just a matter of putting signage up.
And we can do that for Rocky Branch, for Wall Street, and for any other street within 1,000 feet.
It
Well,
seems-
remember now, Rocky Branch
yeah.
is not city jurisdiction. That's a county.
Not even part of
checkerboard.
it?
No, part
Well,
of it is.
State law is this way, unless they've changed it. If you've got a checkerboard situation where you've got city parcels, county parcels on either side of the road, unless there's city parcels on both sides, that section is not city's jurisdiction.
So,
And I
yes,
could be
there are
wrong,
city-
but I think we have both sides
Correct.
up to a certain place.
It's not until after you pass the high school that you see the,
Well, trust me, if it's determined that it is ours, we will, we'll deal with the signage.
Now, I don't know this, but I'm not an educated guess that probably it's our streets, if we want to say it's a school zone and we're not requiring anything of GDOT, such as the approval to do radar, that we should be able to do what we want over there. That's my assumption based on the information we have right now. Would that be accurate?
I think it's accurate on that street. My concern is how it affects the whole licensing as far as other streets. Because sometimes if you just start doing your own thing, the state says, well, you can't run laser anywhere or speed detection anywhere. And so we have to be real careful about that, and that's something that Kevin would have to look at for us too. The second thing is Rocky Branch, we're applying for that speed cameras for Rocky Branch. That's part of that. So it's definitely, some of it is in the city. But we have applied for that. It is in process. Y'all did approve it a while back, and it's a process of being done.
Is Wall Street owned by the school board now? Did they take that as part of their
I
property?
think the parcel right there at the corner is owned by them. I don't know if the street itself, it's maybe like a
Okay,
campus road.
all
I
right.
don't know that.
Yes, ma'am. Dr. Brooks, do you mind if she has the answer to that question of our school board member here? Yes, ma'am.
The Wall Street property has been purchased by Carroll County Schools.
Okay.
Both of those houses.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Councilman Moplahan, if I can get a little bit of clarification, I think we may be able to move this forward.
Okay.
So if your proposal is for us to put up school zone signs, we can do that.
If that's what the analysis of staff supports, and that's my understanding. I mean, my issue is right now, we're having the same exact conversation we were 2 or 3 months ago.
Right. The
That's
only thing that it
that's my
affects-
frustration right now.
The only thing that it affects two things. Number one, there are no school zone signs at most of the schools, so.
Right.
We would need to identify that perhaps. But more importantly, we can't run radar on Clearview, but I'm not sure that's what your proposal was to start with. I think your proposal was to put up school zone signs.
Right. I think,
Period.
as the mayor said, whatever occurs that gets the ultimate result, which is the speed to slow.
Well-
So if it's school zone signage and speed bumps, if that's the combination that works, that's what I support.
Right.
I
And I
believe
think,
the mayor and council.
and Bobby can answer this and definitively, but there was 2 traffic studies done. Correct. There was a traffic study done before the speed humps were put up that showed that the 85 percentile number was higher than the speed limit. So the speed
Right.
humps were justified and they were put in. The study was done after the fact, and that 85 percentile number was below
Was
the speed
22,
limit, the posted speed limit.
Right.
22 miles per hour.
So
Yeah,
the speed
that's
humps have
good.
worked.
Right.
So it occurs to me that perhaps what we need to do, if you all so desire, is just to put the school zone signs up.
It's sounding like it. Councilman Warmoth? I know you've been
So,
waiting.
Chief, my question is, well, first, we're adding the cut-through roads on both directions. I know one right over where the apartments are, correct?
Meadowlark, is that right?
I'm sorry, I don't recall the exact road names, but one over where the apartments are, and then one right behind where the fire station is. So I don't know how much additional traffic there may be. So my concern with the speed humps, of course, would be the wear and tear on those speed bumps. So my question is, as far as your job goes, would you prefer to keep those speed humps there or speed bumps there, or would you prefer to be able to run radar in that area and or have the cameras installed in a school zone area for there?
To me, the ultimate thing is slowing people down.
Right.
If we can slow them down, I say leave the speed humps or speed bumps. And that's what's slowing them down. According to the study, they're at 22 miles an hour.
Right.
That to me is ideal. Why do we want to mess with it after that?
Right. So now the other question that I just brought up, the wear and tear on those speed bumps with the additional traffic coming in, is that something that we should be concerned about as well?
Long-term, yes, but those speed humps will last at least 10 years, 15 years.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, as far as traffic calming is concerned, speed bumps aren't the best solution. There are so many other engineered solutions that are better. I mean, Bobby can probably speak to those. But when you're dealing with old infrastructure like we are, where every road was basically a straightaway, that's your option,
Right.
unfortunately.
And I'm not against it at all. I'm not
Right,
against
right.
the speed bumps. I just want to make sure that I'm asking the questions on those and
Okay.
what is best for those calming measures.
Right.
What I would like to do is I would like to get back with GDOT, with their transportation engineer, and propose A, B. If we do decide to stick with the speed humps and put up the school zone signs, I don't want any of that to jeopardize what the chief is allowed to run radar on in other areas of town.
Sure.
But a statement from GDOT would surely prevent that from happening.
In writing.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, so, and I think that is Councilman's, Momtahan, I need more sleep, and I'm not even moving, is y'all to talk to one another on that and then bring that forward. And so I sense his frustration, but I get it, because I remember sometimes things will just drag on for months and months and months. We'll go, when can we just get, good solid information, dispense with it and move on? But,
We'll have an answer for council by the next meeting.
okay, appreciate that. Now, the cover sheet really doesn't, so I guess we're going to move on, because cover sheet doesn't match what we're doing here anyway.
Yeah, I agree. Yes.
And Anybody else want to say anything about that before, because I was just going to ask you if you had anything else to say. It is your ward. I think we all care where the schools are, but it's specifically your ward. I see the school zone when I'll go down by, Bay Spring. That's on a state road, you got the blinking lights, all that. But the reason this school is different from the others is it's our only high school. So, there are some parents that can speed, but let me tell you, there are some high school kids that, they think they're indestructible, and they're not necessarily thinking about whose kids or dogs or anything else that might be out in the road. So,
Was
okay.
the school involved in this? The actual school, were they involved in this, or was just the city?
I think,
I don't think
I'm
we
just
really dealt with them because it's our citizens that live on
Yeah.
the streets that are there. It wasn't really so much about students that were being impacted. It was our students that live on the street. Our citizens that live on the streets.
Actually, the speeding issue, the peak of the speeding issue was at school let-out time.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And we have received some input from the Carroll County School.
I'm sure they don't mind if we slow them down a little bit. So,
No.
yeah, they want the kids to be okay too, and whoever else lives around there. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on unless somebody has something else on that. All right, we need the superhero to come back up. Nick. Somebody referred to you that way. Yes. Say what?
You added in item
Oh, I'm sorry.
8.
Nick, I just messed up. It's not you yet.
Yes, ma'am.
And I did not scribble it in. Yes, it's yours, Mr. Drummond. I didn't even have time to write it. I wrote number 8 and then wrote nothing beside it.
I passed out a draft letter to council before the meeting. As you may or may not have heard, there is an application pending in our neighbor in Paulding County to, somebody wants to put in a rock quarry. And it's our understanding that all of those trucks and all of the traffic would pass through the city to get onto I-20. Carroll County, at their last meeting, approved a similar letter just stating their opposition to the project. And if council, so the mayor and Mr. Reese and I have had brief discussions about drafting something similar and to see if council was in support of the mayor sending a similar letter on behalf of the city. And that's what that is.
So do you want us to read over this? And we really just have to have a consensus. We don't have to have any type of vote on it. It's just a letter of, I guess you would say, support, along with them saying, we take issue
And
with this
We're
rock
requesting
quarry.
they deny it. So
Okay.
they can put whatever weight they want, if any, in our letters.
Well, and I think it's important for people to know, too, that we didn't just jump on board with this. We checked it out ourselves. There's been discussions. Sent an email to our county commissioner, Clint Chance, who represents that area. And so it was important for us to understand why the county stood where they did on it. And there were some definitely legitimate arguments for us to have concern. And my biggest thing is, without the bypass, those trucks have to go somewhere in Villa Rica, and it's not going to be a good place. They're either going to be right up the road by Happy Valley or in the middle of downtown, or I don't think legally they can even be on Rockmart before it turns into 101, right? Legally, that doesn't mean they wouldn't be, though.
You can establish truck zones, but then you can ask the police chief, they're going to find ways around it, and we're going to have to, it's just going to be go from one street to another to another, so.
And it concerns citizens that we should still care about, while they may not be within city limits, out by Legion Lake. And so there were just a lot of concerns there. Any input, questions, council?
Is there any opposition to the mayor sending us the letter?
I don't have any opposition to it. I guess my only concern is, are we kind of opening a can of worms here? Because now if we have a zoning decision, maybe Paulding County is going to send us a letter. I don't, that's my only thought. But just, I agree with the letter though, but that was just my thought.
From a former planning and zoning guy, I thought the same thing in the beginning when I just first looked at it. I said, far be it from us to tell Paulding County what they need and don't need and where they want it. I think the crux for me, I don't know if it was for you, is the fact that it was right It involves
On the
the county
border.
line, and it's
Yeah.
going to flow into our city.
Yeah. I
That's
agree.
what made the difference for me, because otherwise, I don't want to tell them what to do,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's kind of where you are, or,
I mean, that's kind of where I'm at exactly.
Yeah.
I thought about that and I was like, but I mean, I agree with the letter, so I don't have any reason not to support it.
I think we're good. Thank you. Okay, now the superhero can come. We're never going to let you live that
Oh,
down
no,
now,
I
and it's
won't
going to
live
be
there.
Mr. Reese's fault.
It's better than some of the things I've been called. I promise that.
I'm always going to think of that name now. You could wear a cape next time.
I'll try. I'm not ashamed.
Do we need to put that on consent agenda or anything?
We have no action to
Okay.
take other than you guys are good with me sending it,
Okay, I just want to make sure.
or signing it, I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, so this, I'm bringing, this item is concerning Water Miss Phase 2B final plat approval. Just like 2A, that was approved. The city is satisfied, and each department has gone out and performed their inspections, such as utilities and public works. They've got their infrastructure in, they've paid our fees, we have the maintenance bond, we have all the required documents that are regulated in our regulations. So they have applied for the approval of the final plat. Stephen with Pulte and Mr. Bobby met with the HOA to discuss all of their concerns, and Pulte has agreed to make the same concessions that they did for 2A. And they've been phenomenal to work with. I know I said that last time, but if I could work with, you know, guys like this all the time, it'd be beneficial, because if we need something, they're on point and they're great. So that is what I'm presenting for the council approval today, is the final plat. It's been signed by staff. We would just need the mayor's signature if the council approves.
Council, any questions? Okay, so we'll bring this back tonight.
It shouldn't need a,
Oh,
it doesn't
we
need
can-
a public comment. You can vote on it. Well, I'm not telling you what you can and can't do, but
We can vote on it in a group.
Get ahead of myself here.
No, you go right ahead. Would you like to make the motion? No.
I will.
I think we've already discussed this several times, so.
Any opposite? Well, this is the other Plat B, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being a developer. That's great to work with. It's good to hear that, because, right, do we not hear some nightmare stories or?
ma'am.
And I know sometimes we can be an issue for them, you know, dragging things out, but that's just good to hear. So we really appreciate that. Okay, any opposition to making this consent? Oh, yes. Oh, okay. No, that's okay. I'd rather, because sometimes I'm not seeing it, you know. Yeah. Until we redesign this thing someday and do this again, where we actually see one another again. Any opposition to making this consent item? Would that be number 4, Danny? Okay, I know you're yeah, you're in charge of keeping track of that, okay? You didn't know it, but I just assigned you. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Chief, C1, firearm disposition and purchase.
I brought my superhero with me too, buddy. So, what we're doing is we're requesting the opportunity to trade in some of our shotguns, some of our pistols, for new pistols with red dot sights on them. We qualify every year. We shoot every year to make sure that we're good or good enough. We have a saying, it's not exactly appropriate, but it's 80s passing, 81 showing off. I don't show off a whole lot. I do pass every time, but I don't always show off. But these red dot sights that we're looking at getting has proven to increase everyone's accuracy. And we have a letter from the Academy training sergeant, basically, and I think we put it in your file, but it's basically saying that I've been a firearms instructor the past 4 years. Recently, we have observed an increase in agencies sending officers to be trained with duty-issued firearms equipped with red dot sighting systems. The implementation of these red dots has significantly enhanced the shooting proficiency of new officers, resulting in a notable reduction in firearms failures. One of the things that will get an officer kicked out of the academy is if they don't pass firearms. Thankfully, we've been very fortunate. We have people that work with them before they go to make sure they're ready and that they're proficient. But overall, we believe by doing this, it will increase everyone's score. It'll make the accuracy better for the officers. It'll also be better on the street. You'll have a red dot at night that you can see better with that. So I actually tried one recently. They had a firearms exposition at the college and the academy, the college in Carrollton's range, and they let me shoot a red dot pistol. And the furthest we ever shoot, usually a pistol, is 25 yards. And I'm not tremendous at 25 yards. I'm okay. I shot that pistol from 50 yards and hit the target first time. And then Blake did the same thing. And so it shows you how much better accurate you are if you understand how to shoot. It's a little bit different way of shooting it, but it's a much better, I believe, a much better opportunity for the officers.
So how is this different from your regular laser? Now, when I looked at, I think, I'm not seeing it right now, but I thought I looked at a Glock with it, and it appeared to me to be like a extra attachment. Is that correct? Compared
ma'am.
to a laser,
is.
you don't see an extra attachment. You
Right.
know, you push the button on or off if you're using it. So
Yeah, it's an extra attachment that goes on top of the pistol, and there's a spot for it to fit on there. These will be made to do that, the pistols and everything. So yeah, and it'll be a different holster that they have to carry too.
So does that accessory have something to do with the accuracy over a laser? I was just curious. I mean, all of us will be much happier if you hit the target you're shooting at compared to something else or whatever. More accuracy, that's a good thing.
Right,
But,
so this sight is actually, it's on top of the gun, and the reticle is just built into the sight, and only the person shooting the gun can see it. This is not like a laser where you mash the button and the laser shoots out onto
I
someone.
see.
This is just
Okay.
one that is seen, the shooter sees through their eyes.
Just like if you were using a regular sight and looking through, say you're using a rifle, like so. I'm left-handed. So it's a sight on top of, okay. All right, so the only question I had for myself was, I noticed it wasn't budgeted. Usually that's Mr. Carter's question.
Yeah.
Is I noticed it's not budgeted. However, I thought I saw it was coming out of the general fund, but it doesn't. It's coming out of seized,
State
the
seizure fund.
seizure.
Yeah,
The
so
seizure
what
funds.
we did is we sat down with Jennifer to make sure where we were and everything. We talked about using some budget money, we talked about using some drug money, but the best thing we realized after talking to Jennifer was we'd just be better off to use the rest as drug money, and so it'll be coming out of our state drug fund. And we don't use it very often at all. I don't know that we used it at all last year or hardly at all. That was for the federal one. It has that much in it. So it has like 190, is that what you said? Yeah.
So is that, because I was thinking we had our own seizure account. We have to get it through them. We don't
No,
have
it's-
anything
it's
from our-
ours.
It is ours.
It's the
It's
city's.
controlled at the state level?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's regulated at the state and
I
federal
see.
level. And we can only use it for certain things. We can't use it to supplant the budget. So if we have something that we buy every year, we can't all of a sudden stop using the budget and use drug money. So
Right.
we are regulated in that way, and I know if we need to explain any more, the city attorney can do that, but I think that's pretty much it.
No, that's
But,
okay. We
yeah.
do it. It's our thing. It's just regulated by them, which is accountability, so
Yes,
that's a
ma'am.
good thing.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
anytime criminals can help us pay for items that help us fight crime, I'm good with. I remember that in South Florida. You can imagine the drug deals that came across with very expensive boats. That sometime, if they can prove that that was gained through illegal means, that type of thing can be
Yes, ma'am.
seized and then used to fight the drugs or whatever. Okay, questions?
Just one, Chief. How does it adjust for distance as you shoot further and further away?
I think that it's just like any other pistol. You're gonna have drop if you shoot way off, but we don't usually use the pistol to shoot way off. Most gunfights, as bad as I hate to use the term, are close up or within 15 to 20 yards.
So this
yeah.
is zeroed in at what, 25 yards or so?
I don't know exactly on that. I think so, something like that. But I mean, like I said, 50 yards, it was dead on, and that's pretty impressive. When I heard that ding, I turned around to see who really shot because I didn't believe I hit it.
Good for you.
I think the city manager has experience too with these guns and is a solid believer.
Any other questions? All right, any opposition to making this consent item number 5? All right, that'll be 5. Public Works. Hal, who's, let's see.
Mayor and Council,
Yeah.
I'm going to begin this by saying I apologize. Mr. Birch is on vacation, and no one is taking his place, and we'll deal with that. But we don't have an agenda item for you so far as I know. But I can.
Yeah, we do.
We do? Okay. Bobby's going to handle it, but normally this would have been Hal Birch's, and so that's just a situation that we're going to have to work through.
Okay,
But
so-
Bobby has agreed to present it, and I'll answer any
Hal
questions.
asked me to.
Okay, thank you.
If I was going to be here anyway, would I present for him because he didn't have anybody on staff that felt comfortable at the podium? And I said, shoot, I don't feel comfortable at the podium either. But anyway.
You have to do it.
This first item, if you're traveling from I-20 headed north on Mirror Lake Boulevard, and you attempt to make a left in the first entrance of the Fuquay development, I can't believe we did not put a left turn lane in there and a bypass lane to go around it. But you can block traffic up for days with people coming headed north, waiting for them to get by to make a turn. So for the time being, we're recommending putting no left turn signs there, but we will be working on a fix to add a left turn lane and a bypass lane at that location.
Oh, that's good to hear. I'm telling you, I asked, in fact, I remember going back, traffic studies come up often in this group, including with the development down Connors Road, where they ended up doing a roundabout. You know, you've been here, we'll bring that up, and I asked for it, and I was told it didn't exist, not from you. I asked for it, didn't exist. I said, well, how did we figure out how to do that? Well, we had some engineers look at it, and all I could figure out was, I don't know whose engineers they were.
Bobby Carson wasn't one of those. I'm sorry.
Because this seemed to be so obvious. Now, if the drivers just thought, I'll drive 200 more yards and I'll be in a turning lane to turn, but that apparently is not fixable because I've watched it day after day and they keep doing it.
Well, it's going to be a nightmare to try to enforce no left turns
Yeah.
at that location. But you don't need a traffic study to make that determination. You just need to look at, okay, that's a full service entrance.
But that's why we ask it, because we don't know
You need
what,
a left
we
turn
just
lane.
know it has to be looked at by people who can figure out how you're going to get people in and get them out and keep that traffic moving from I-20 as best you can.
We need to take a long, hard look and see if we can find a solution to put that the way it should be. And I'll get with our city manager and see if we can't work out something to get that done.
Okay, so if the signs don't work, we're prepared to do something actually modifying that area. You have anything else to say on that, Mr. Reese?
No,
Okay.
I agree. Thank you, Bobby, for doing this. But, yeah, I think short term, we need to do something to fix it. But I think long term, as Bobby said, we need to reevaluate that intersection and see if we can make it better.
Council?
I think, again, I have absolutely no objection to this at all. I've seen the same complaints all over social media. And I agree, and I'm glad to hear that this is just phase one and there's multiple phases, because I don't think it's going to be as effective as we would like it to be. I guess my only concern, though, is that I mean, for as long as I've lived in Villa Rica, and if not, and especially since I've been on council, I've got similar complaints about the intersection at Hickory Falls Apartments and the Walmart and the left turns being made there. So I would like, I mean, my thought is what prompted, you said there wasn't really a study or anything, but I mean, we've been dealing with complaints of the same thing. Can we not also look at that intersection as well to see if there's anything that we can do there?
Yes, we can look at both of those.
Okay.
But this, you know, we just redid that whole intersection with the traffic signal and all the way
Right.
up there. What you see on the screen is new asphalt. So I don't know why we didn't.
We dropped the ball
Require
on this
that.
one, yeah, because.
When the traffic's light, it's great.
You
I mean,
could-
it's
Well,
two
yeah,
ways
well,
in.
Of
and
course, but when
But-
it's heavy,
Yeah.
it's bad.
But I'm saying, in a driver's head, like I obviously I use that road a lot. You know, I'm kind of checking my rear view mirror, you know, and I'm seeing who's coming. There's nobody coming toward me. I'm going to use it. It's going to be the first turn in. I'm going to use it. But I see a line of cars coming. Heck, if I'm going to sit there and back up
Yes.
25 cars behind me because I don't want to drive 200 yards and go to the light. So it'd be nice if you could leave it and everybody just kind of use their rear view mirror and look to us. But that it's not happening. It just
Yeah.
isn't. And it will back up. It's already hard at rush hour over there. I mean, it's already hard. You add that in, and you're past Wells Fargo and
I
everything
think
else.
if you don't fix it, eventually fix it, I mean, really make it a passing lane, it's gonna back up at
That's
the
the
red light,
best.
and it's still gonna stop traffic. 'Cause
Well,
it's-
it's either going to be that, or people are going to attempt to go around it into the grassed area, and they're going to end up down on the cart path and in the trees and everywhere else. So
Yeah, we gotta fix it the right way eventually. How long is it gonna take to get a passing lane in there?
I don't know. We're going to have to. Hal gave it to me. In fact, I didn't even know this was an issue. What's the situation? Until I got to looking at the agenda item, and I'm like, well, of course it backs up traffic for like all the way to.
Mirror Lake, yeah.
So.
Councilman, we can put the sign up before we do the traffic study, but we need to get an engineered drawing on that to make it safe. But we can put the signs up.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
almost immediately as soon as we can get them in, which it would less than a week.
Yeah, I've got no problem temporarily putting the no left turn signs up, but we need to fix the problem because eventually it's gonna pile up at the red light and it's gonna back traffic up anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so you know when we start these things, sometime it just rolls. How come there's no reflective paint around these little islands? Now, GDOT, our representative, told me probably 2 years ago that on, I'm sorry, I'm a diverge just a little bit, but I'll come right back to where we are. Over on the roundabout on Punkintown Road. 2 years ago, I was told they're going to put something in the middle and we're going to have reflective paint. I don't know if that's a chime. You ask forgiveness later. But otherwise, over there, the same sort of thing with those little islands. There's nothing reflective on there.
You know,
Is that not just normally done?
It's not
or
normally done, but it can certainly be done.
input?
You're talking about.
I just look at the scuff marks on them and I go, well, somebody's hitting those things. I don't know if they're
The-
hitting them
the
in the
issue,
dark. or-
If I read you right, is people are just not seeing those little islands at night, and they're hitting them. And if they had some thermoplastic.
Can we at least look at it?
If
Can
they
we
had
look
some
at it?
thermoplastic paint on them, at least with the headlights, you can see them. They're in front of you.
Okay, just something to look at.
Yeah.
just
We'll
Since
make
we're,
contact with GDOT and see if we can make that happen.
okay. On that other one too, I just kind of threw that in there. That's okay. You don't have to, I'll follow up. I'll put it on my list of 300. I'll get to it. But it applied to the area we were talking about right there with that turning.
We had an
Yes,
accident
ma'am.
right there. Yeah, we sure did.
Councilman, go ahead.
I was gonna say, how enforceable do you think okay, I'm gonna say as a citizen who uses that cut through a lot, I don't think the sign is gonna be very effective or I think for a couple reasons. One, people are just gonna ignore it. I'm not. Let me get out there and put that in the public domain. I will drive the extra football field and go all the way around. but I will do that. I shouldn't have been so sarcastic. But I really think there are going to be some people that aren't going to be aware of it, who are just going to completely ignore it. Is there not a way to put some kind of blockade there, so like cones or something, until we get either get the lane or whatever, or is that not?
That's something we can look at.
Okay.
I've seen it done before, but I'm just not sure if we've got enough room to put those in there and keep them out of traffic.
Well, I was just thinking where, going into the shopping center on the part that comes out where you either, and let me make sure I'm understanding correctly, there's gonna be no left turn like going towards Shoreline. It's just gonna be, you either come out, like you come from Punkintown Road and you can make a right turn, make a right turn, or if you're going out and going toward Wells Fargo, you can make a right turn. That's what we're wanting, correct?
Yeah, if you're looking at the picture on the screen,
Yeah.
the left turn into that first entrance is what we want to put a stop to.
Okay.
But
But we also probably don't want people making the left turn coming out, going towards Shoreline.
I think that the left turn coming out going towards Shoreline should be okay, but because they got to wait till it gets clear before they can make the turn.
Okay, but I'm just thinking of it when it gets backed up at rush hour traffic.
See, what happens here, if somebody's sitting there wanting to make a left turn lane, then there's no way to get around them, and people start backing up, all the way up to the next roadway.
Yeah, I understand.
here's why the blockade won't work, because people are still allowed to turn right into that parking lot coming from Highway 61. So if you put any way to block that out, you would also keep those people from turning right. Now, most of those people should turn at the traffic light, you would think, because you have to come through the traffic light, past that, and then make a turn. But I've seen people turn in that way. So if you put a blockade, basically,
Like I was
that's
saying.
a good point. But you also would keep people from turning right at that location.
That's true, I didn't notice that, yeah.
When I say turning right coming toward I-20 from Highway 61.
Well, no, I thought like where the dirt is, that's the turning right. Isn't that the turning right? I was thinking just right up there between the two concrete things. I'm not thinking right there. I was thinking where you make the left going in.
And that would in effect keep people from turning left.
But if they made the left, where you would block it off would impact them.
Yeah, the folks-
One's going right, correct?
I thought just right here, where they could come in here and you can go out here, but then it would block them going that way. Which
We
is,
will look at, I'll look at
Okay.
all of it.
that it's just a suggestion because as someone who uses that area, I don't think that's going to be I don't know how effective the sign's going to
Well,
be.
I think that's just the first step, and to at least get something there until the rest gets done. Do I understand that correctly, that would be step one while we work on the more permanent fix?
Okay.
Yes, Councilman Momtahan?
Well, I mean, to council, thank you, Mayor. The Councilwoman McCoy's point, I mean, my thought when I saw this issue was, well, it should be a right in, right out. And there should be no left turns there whatsoever. And I think if we did a right in, right out, then you don't have to get additional right-of-way or pavement to make it a left turn lane or make a bypass lane. And you just simply cut it off and make it a right in, right out. I don't know if the businesses will like that, because when you put right in, right out, it slows your business a little bit. Just kind of like what people complain about the R cuts out on 61.
Well,
But it was just something, from our perspective, that's less pavement that we have to purchase, and that's less right-of-way acquisition or less work. I don't
think
know.
when I reviewed the Fuquay commercial component plan at the very beginning, I remember that being a right in, right out.
I actually
And
went
at
back
some
to look
point it
at
got
it.
changed.
Well, I went back to look at it for the zoning application, and it was as they configured it here.
Okay. Well, we'll look at all aspects.
And you know what? Look at it in the light of when we rebuild that road, whatever we do, we want to be able to keep, right?
Right.
So when we talk about the rebuild of Punkintown Road, that's above my wheelhouse of how this would all play into that. But let's not spend a lot of money on something that then we are going to tear up when we
Yeah,
redo
I
that
got you.
road. And that's something that you guys are on the weeds in and can think through it probably better than we can.
Yep.
Councilman Momtahan, that's actually probably the best solution. I'm sitting here looking at it now.
It is.
If you put an island in the middle and basically take out that middle portion that you were pointing to, who has the laser pointer? Nobody? So, don't let me shoot you in the eye with this thing. All right, so this area right here, if you make this whole area concrete right here, make it look like a triangle,
Mm-hmm.
and then let people come up and turn right here and turn right coming in this way, you've in essence, and put a sign down at the bottom of the hill that says right turn only, you've in essence
Right.
done that. Because if you come this way and you try to make a left-hand turn, there's going to be a concrete island right there. And then
Right.
you would have to put, in my opinion, you would have to put some kind of marking around that, because somebody's going to end up running across the top of it, and maybe even put some bollards or something on top
Right.
of it, the little concrete bollards. You know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about, Bobby? That,
Well, they've got the breakaway kind now that you can actually epoxy
Right.
those in to keep,
I think that is,
That's probably gonna be the best solution.
yeah, I think that is the best solution, but I still, temporarily, we need to do the no left-hand turn sign.
Oh, I agree with that, yeah.
If you see on the screen, the little sign that says no left turn, I'm concerned that there's not enough pavement width available to get a bypass lane in there
there's not.
without getting over onto that cart path. That shoulder falls off right there pretty steep.
Yes, it does.
So, but we'll look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of surprised at the proposal that
Yeah.
was that to add a lane, because I didn't see it there. But that's why I thought the right in, right out would be the,
And just make everybody go down to the,
yeah.
to the
Councilman Warmoth?
signal.
So there is a second entrance for turning left into this?
Yeah, the one where the traffic signal is a full service intersection.
So then why wouldn't we just make this I mean, because there isn't with the golf cart path, and then there is the complete drop off. There isn't any kind of way to widen this to bring in a turn lane.
The right in, right out option is gonna be the cheapest option.
Right. Yeah, I mean, as long as there's another entrance
Oh,
in
yeah.
order to turn left into this shopping center, then a right in, right out would be a perfect option.
I'm going to try to promise that this will be my last one. No. So if you're coming down you're getting off at 20 or whatever, and you're coming down, all that traffic at rush hour, they're still using that lane, that's taking some. If they all go to the traffic light, because a lot of people do turn there, if they all go to the traffic light, is it going to accommodate that additional traffic, and how that will play in with the rebuild of the road? When y'all are all in the room kicking it around, right, like the big picture,
Here's where your traffic.
are they all going to be in that turning lane at the traffic light and not backing up?
Here's where your
maybe
your
that gets-
traffic analysis comes into play. You change the timing of the signal
That's what I was thinking.
based on how much traffic during whichever peak times there are. In other words, you vary the green time
Right.
to accommodate it.
Or do it to
Okay,
light green
no,
light.
I like that.
Yeah.
I've been down highways where they got them timed, and you stay on a certain
Yes.
speed, it moves things along. They have a light that works. If they ever let us put one at Rocky Branch, it could be red, and then it could be a blinker the rest of the time, and only needed at rush hour, so there's a lot of good ways.
Yeah.
Okay, good, that's helpful, thank you. I'm glad I asked you just so I could hear that. Any other questions? Mr. Drummond, any reason we can't make this consent item? Okay, that'll be consent, I'm sorry, any opposition? Okay, that'll be consent item number 6. We spent just a little time on that. All right, Cleghorn stop signs.
Yeah, I'm going to tell Hal next time. No,
To brief you?
I'm just kidding. The recommendation is to make the Cleghorn, Darden Street, Villa Rica Parkway intersection a 4-way stop condition, based on, because you got 4 different. I mean, you got Cleghorn that goes through, and you got Darden one side, Villa Rica Parkway the other. It makes perfect sense to make it a 4-way stop, and that's the recommendation.
Oh, good you go.
I did not, y'all. I did not do those visuals. I'm sorry.
Well, it's better than nothing. It at least gives you kind of an idea of the way it would work there. Questions from council?
Wasn't there where they gonna put the traffic light?
Not traffic light, 4-way stop.
I'm saying, initially wasn't they saying a traffic, because one time they were saying a roundabout.
She's talking about the parkway.
A roundabout was considered strongly on the front
and then
end,
they said no.
but I don't think a signal was ever considered.
Yes.
Right. It was, yeah.
But it involved the whole parkway being completed,
Yeah.
that's where the traffic light
Yeah.
came in. Yeah, absolutely. I know, we've got so many moving
Well,
pieces.
if we do a four-way stop, then it still leaves it open for the future.
Right, no, I mean, that'll take care of it now. Something has to happen now.
Yeah.
Any questions, council, any other questions? All right, any opposition to making this consent item number 7? Okay.
Mayor, I would like to just add one thing to that, I'm sorry, but, so I did talk to a couple of representatives in the neighborhood and told them that this was gonna be on the agenda tonight. And, one of the things that this will do, in addition to stopping 4 lanes, it'll slow the traffic down on Cleghorn Street. So obviously when you have a stop sign, unless somebody runs it, it'll slow them down. So, I think it's a good fix. I don't know if it's the long-term fix, but it will stop that from being a dangerous intersection for now.
Do you want this discussed at all tonight, or are you okay with this being consent? Because you said you had talked to some people that might be coming.
Ms. Shirley, that's your ward.
Well, I haven't talked to any of them, so I don't. I mean, I think like she said, that would slow down the traffic, because they go through there Cleveland Street just like it's freeway sometime. So, and then, because when you're coming out of Darden Street, you know, you got that bank right there. And so if they trying to get out and then somebody flying down through there, they might mess around and have an accident there. So I think the four-way stop would be a temporary good fix if they agree to that.
I think in the interest of transparency, we probably need to leave it on the
Yeah.
agenda and not make it a consent.
Okay.
agenda. No, that
Yeah.
would be my.
All right. It seems like a common sense thing. I will say I've been over there when people are speeding up that road, and there's one speed hump which helps for that one section, but it's a long area, and that might even be something going forward. They might want to consider some additional traffic calming over there. Did I see a hand? No? Yes?
No, I
Councilman
mean,
McCoy?
I was going to.
I thought you were nodding.
No, I was going to agree with what Mr. Reese said, was just that for complete transparency, go ahead and leave this on the agenda. I do think that, I mean, I've been down through here and seen the speeding issues down Cleghorn, so I do think that, I almost said Clearview because that's what we've been discussing. But down Cleghorn, the speeding issues are definitely a concern. So hopefully the stop signs would help with that, at least be a good solution. But I do think that leave this on the agenda for
Okay.
that transparency.
Anything
for
else,
those
council?
citizens.
Okay, right, sorry. Anything else? All right, E, utilities, sewer delegation. Who are you delegating sewer to?
Good afternoon. This first item is a delegation agreement between Georgia Environmental Protection Division and the City of Rica. Little brief history. For many years, when any utility would expand their sewer system, they would send engineered drawings to the state for review, comment, and ultimate approval prior to the work being performed and contracting out the work. So, over the past several years, whether it's due to staffing at the EPD level or what have you, the majority of the time, once drawings are submitted to EPD, after a period of anything from 60 to 90 days or more, we receive a letter stating that those plans have not been chosen for review. And that's been pretty consistent over the last several years, I would say. I think Bobby can agree to that. It's been several years. I think, in fact, in my time here, everything we submit is, we received a letter saying it's not been chosen for review, which essentially just slows all the projects down because they're waiting for 60 or 90 days or more for them to review, but they don't review the drawings. So over the past couple years, Bobby's been working on approval from the state for us to do our own in-house review of approval of sewer system expansions. So Bobby did the heavy lifting on here. He worked with the state, asked what would be required for us to receive this approval. If I recall, they replied with some comments relative to our development regulations. We've made some changes to our development regulations, have resubmitted, and they have since approved the process for us approving our own sewer extensions. There's a couple exceptions there. Sewers, gravity sewers larger than 36 inches in diameter, which we currently do not have anything of that size in the city. Pump stations of over about 1 million gallons a day. We've got a few of those, but not many. So some of the larger projects would essentially still go to the state for review, but this agreement would, if executed, would provide us the authority to do our own in-house review and approval of sewer system extensions.
Okay, so my question is, and you probably don't have the answer, are they understaffed? They can't get stuff back to cities, counties? I mean, is this pervasive for everybody?
Yes.
Because I've been hearing this for several years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know their current staffing level relative to the plan review section, but I can say historically, and over many previous years, in other positions, I would take drawings to the state or mail them to the state. I usually got a comment back within 30 days. We'd mark them up, we'd reapply, we'd get approval. That hasn't happened for, I know, several years for me.
Who do they answer to? I mean, is it ultimately the governor, but there's federal guidelines that they also, who do they answer? Who are they accountable to with
Well,
that department?
EPA is the national level. EPD is the state level.
Right.
And they answer to the state government and EPA, if that's a fair assumption. So, but
Yeah.
I think it's a combination of staffing. It's them delegating out work to utilities. Another example is the industrial pretreatment program. The state used to do all that internally. They have since handed a lot of that off to public utilities, which is why we're doing the industrial pretreatment program. We're running that program on behalf of the state.
Mhm.
So we have to follow state requirements on that. And they just don't, in my opinion, they're just not reviewing many projects right now. They're
Which
just
one?
not reviewing,
Yeah.
not at least sewer extensions. They
Which-
haven't reviewed any of ours.
So in a sense, they have us policing, every city and county policing themselves to a degree. And the only reason I'm asking is I don't know if we still have a state representative that's on that. Might be Lynn Smith at one time was on at least some ecological stuff, but I'm not sure it's EP. Do you have some input you might?
Well, I do, and John's not going to brag on himself, so I'm going to do that. I don't know that it's so much that EPD doesn't have staffing. I don't know what their staffing situation, but I think we are indebted to our staff, and John Bain in particular, because they trust us enough to let us review our own plans. Now, obviously, if we do something wrong, then they're going to come down on us and make it right. So there's also a bad side of that, but John's not going to publicly tell you that he does a great job, but I will. And the fact that we've gone how many months now at the North Plant without
A couple of years.
we've gone 2 years at the North Plant, which is a sick plant, and we've gone 2 years without any kind of notice from the EPD saying we're going to gig you for doing whatever. That's a testament to a great staff. So I don't think every municipality probably has the right to do this. Is that safe to say, John?
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I also think it's a function of our other teams, such as our engineer and our other departments, that do a good job reviewing these drawings and making comments before we even submit them to the state. So Bobby looks at drawings, makes a lot of comments to these developers and engineers that are designing these extensions. They comply. Once we send those to the state, they're probably 95 to 99% there now, and oftentimes the state may not have any comments. So I think we have them really well reviewed and commented on and changed, so we're pretty confident the state will approve them. But I also do think it's probably some function of staffing in the state. Typically, we get a letter stating that our drawings have not been chosen for review.
That's
is
what I'm
we
saying. I
normally
was
get.
hearing
Is
that
fair?
things would just get bogged down month after month, and I'm a little bit more skeptical. And I'm willing to say, what's happening at the state level, that we need to talk to somebody, because if that's the way they're functioning statewide, that's a problem for cities and counties
Well,
if they're not able to do their job, whether that's the governor or whoever, but
Mayor,
anyway.
That's true, but we are in a good position being able to review our own plans too.
Yeah,
trust me,
okay.
we just need to calm down about that, because you have to get state approval to do in-house review.
Right.
And not tooting my own horn, but if the state has a PE that's reviewing for us, when it goes downtown, the folks that review those plans are not registered engineers. So that's a big plus for us. And but no, everybody doesn't get it automatically. You have to have your regulations in tip-top shape, and then they'll consider it.
Okay.
Well, this has been an 8-month project for me, waiting. I submitted everything back to them 8 months ago, and
See?
here we are. Here we
That's
are.
a problem. Somebody at the state level needs to get on that with them.
Well, actually, I think we had a retired EPD director that made a couple of calls on our behalf.
It helps to know people sometime. 'Cause they've been slow to act on a sewage spill down in Carrollton, too. At times, we've had stuff go on for a long time. So it's just a little concerning at the state level, but if it's at least taking some pressure off us with doing our own, okay.
I think it expedites the process. It allows us to do our own review and approval. It speeds it up.
Okay.
We're not waiting for 90 days to get a letter stating they haven't been chosen for review. That's essentially the essence of it.
Questions from council? I've lost my screen. It's been buffering for about 5 minutes here, so I'm trying to pull up an additional screen with really small writing on this.
My only comment is I think there's been a lot said about our water and sewer department and stormwater and all that stuff going on in the last year or so, and I think this just shows that, contrary to what some folks may believe, the city is really on the right track when it comes to managing these things. Like every other city in the world, we're probably not perfect, but we find issues and we address them, and obviously we've done such a good enough job, the state of Georgia recognizes that, so.
And maybe we won't be bogged down waiting for months.
Thank you for that.
Okay. I'm trying to see the print on my iPad. I can't see anything on my tablet anymore. It's just buffering and blank.
This would be consent item C7.
Can we make this a consent item? I'm trying to even look at the motion. Any,
It's a motion and it's C7.
okay. All right, we'll make this, actually, it would be 8, wouldn't it
No,
be?
7, we canceled out.
Oh, we took
Cleghorn.
Cleghorn off, that's right. Mhm.
C7.
Okay, C7, unless there's
You got
anybody
me to keep
opposed.
up with it. You have to keep up with it.
That's right, that's your job, I need to pay attention to you. Number 2, Hickory Falls Lift Station.
Okay, this next item is a proposal for Brendan Jones and Associates to develop an upgrade to the Hickory Falls Sewer Lift Station. As we know, this project is on the north side of Hickory Level Road on the west side of Highway 61. There's a current multifamily development already built. There's another one being built next to it that will be tying into this lift station. As such, there is a development agreement that has been agreed upon between the city and the project, that in which they will assist with the cost of this lift station upgrade. So we're at the point now to where we are reaching out to engineers, and we've reached out to Brendan Jones to develop a scope of work to design the upgrade to that station so we can accommodate the new development in which they would pay a part of. So that quote came in at $58,000, and it is a budgeted item.
Any questions from council? Anyone opposed to making the, yes, yes.
There's only one quote. Was this put out for bid or anything, or was this kind of a sole source?
I wouldn't call it a sole source. I would say that Brendan Jones has worked on our lift stations from a citywide standpoint.
Okay.
So he's familiar with with what our requirements are, what our standards are. We've asked him to work with us on other lift stations relative to the north plant, which we'll get into in the future. But he does our lift station. He essentially is our engineer of record
So there's
for the wastewater lift stations.
Okay,
if
so
that
there's
helps.
institutional knowledge there.
Yes.
That's why we're using them.
Yes,
I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, there's two engineers primarily that we use for on the wastewater side, and there's one that we use on the water side that does all of our water system modeling and upgrades, which is what we'll get into next.
Okay.
Mhm.
I can't see the item.
Okay, it's gonna be, it's Hickory
Mayor Pro
Falls
Tem
District.
Carter?
Yep, it's gonna be C8.
Okay.
It's a move to authorize the mayor to execute work order, blah, 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 with Crennan Jones.
I do have, okay, go ahead.
For the amount of $58,000.
All right, so that'll be consent item number 8?
Yep.
Okay. So I don't have a screen to look at, but I do have an agenda.
Okay.
Next item is Highway 61, Water Main Extension.
Okay, thank you. These next two items are somewhat tied together, which we'll get into. This first item is to engage with Carter and Sloop Engineering to design a water system upgrade along Highway 61, which is on the north side of Highway 61, essentially from where the Georgia DOT bypass will be entered in to the city limits. So we have a relatively small water line there. Our intent is to upgrade that section of water main.
Okay, so
So-
it'll be from the roundabout, wait a second now, you said city limits, say that again? The
Yes,
location on
The
61?
project is essentially from where the bypass would connect to 61, a little bit west of that, up to the city limits along Highway 61. So we have a small water main there. It's currently connected with Douglas County water system. But due to the size of our water main and the Douglas County side, we cannot use that. That's not functional use. We cannot get
Okay.
water from Douglas County at that connection. So these next two projects are relative to what needs to be done to make that a functional interconnection, just as we have on Connors Road. If we're on Connors Road and we're heading out Connors Road, there is an actual pump station, which we call Connors Road Pump Station, that we pull water from Douglas County into our system.
Is it, are we making it larger as well? What do we
Where
have?
this first
From-
project is to increase the size of the water main.
That's, okay.
The next project is to design the actual pump station.
Okay, yeah, I was trying to remember what I had read on it, because I can't look at it here.
So-
All right,
I'm sorry.
no,
So-
I'm done.
As Carter and Sloop handles our water system modeling and design. And we've asked them to give us a price to design the water main upgrade. And that's what this is, and the price came in at $54,500.
I have a
Any
question.
questions from council?
Yeah, I got a couple.
Councilman Carter?
I noticed you put the funding sources as general fund. Why not water sewer?
I'm sorry, I can't answer that question.
Why would this be general fund instead of water sewer?
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so make a note, the funding source is not the general fund.
Any other questions? We'll make that consent item
Nine.
number
9, yeah.
9. All righty. Number 4, proposal to design water pump station on Highway 61.
So again, this would be engaging with Carter and Sloop to design the pump station that would tie into our newly designed 12-inch water main. So we could make this a functional source to purchase water from Douglas County for that portion of town. And part of this also goes into where we pull water into our city limits and our distribution system. Ideally, we prefer to have more than one source on the east side of town, which right now is Connors Road. So pulling it from Highway 61, where we have a current connection with Douglas County, makes sense just hydraulically to pull water into that end. It helps us out with the operation of the system, not to get into the weeds. And I did notice, Mr. Carter, this is also stating general fund, so we should change this to water and sewer fund as well.
Thank you. Okay, so make that notation on the cover sheet. All the more reason, I guess, we still want to pursue as much as we can being water independent. It's going to probably be costly. I'm looking at our city manager here. It's going to be costly. The more money, the more water we have to buy, the more money we're going to have to spend from those other counties. Any input on that?
No, I
Anything
agree
new?
completely. And what this does in essence is give us 4 connections, 2 to Douglas County and 2 to Carroll County, in addition to what we produce ourselves at Lake Fashion. So you can't have enough connections. Right now, we only had 1 connection to Douglas County that was functionable. Like you said, that the one on 61 was too small to even amount to anything. So this will give us another source of water in essence. And moving forward, we're basically a customer for water to some extent. I think we're producing right at 1 million gallons a day, roughly, without drought situation.
Yes, sir. When we're not in a drought condition, we produce about 1.4 million gallons a day.
So this will give us, 2 Douglas County connections and 2 Carroll County connections, just in case things get worse.
And we have, is there 1 or 2 other possible connections for the Douglas County side?
There's a total of 3 connections currently. Connors Road is the functional 1 connection that we're using. These 2 projects would allow us to design a second functional connection on Highway 61.
So then there's a 3rd one that is just not functional, correct?
Correct. That is on Highway 78.
Right.
That is a similar situation as to here. However, our engineers and their engineers are confident that the Highway 61 connection is probably a more functional connection for both utilities due to their distribution system and our distribution system.
So the one on 78, something that we'll need to look into at some point.
Possibly. I think once we get this connection up and running, we'll have a better understanding of that.
Okay.
I don't think we even had the 1 connection, excuse me, working with Douglas County initially. Didn't we have to do something just a couple years ago because it sat there unused? And
We did. We rebuilt that pump station probably 3 years ago. I think we completed it about 2.5 years ago. We completed that pump station. Until then, that pump station wasn't really functional either. For years, we had only pulled water from Carroll County. We're now able to pull water from both. And to the city manager's point, because of current water levels, we are only pulling 1 million gallons a day instead of 1.4. So we're having to buy more water currently today.
And we have the 2 connections with Carroll County?
We have 2 connections with Carroll County that enter our distribution system. To put it, there's other, but those are what enter our distribution system, essentially. They provide water to a couple neighborhoods, if you will, as well, and that's more of a pass-through. But they're essentially 2 connections that we purchase water from Carroll. 1 at a treatment facility, 1 down at the V-Plex.
Okay.
any other questions? Anyone opposed to this being consent item number 10?
No.
All right, we'll make that number 10. Item F, City Manager Jeff Reese.
You have an F? I don't have an F.
Oh,
I don't have anything past.
is that not on,
That's public
that got
comment.
changed on this agenda too?
Okay, we got,
Okay.
I need to make a correction. We've got an error back on items A2 and A3.
Talk nice and loud.
Okay, we, last year at this time, about May, it was May and June when we fought this battle, we set the commissioners' terms at 2 years each, and we set it to where wards 1 and 2 ended on an even year, and 3, 4, and 5 ended on an odd year. This says it, this one that we just approved today on the consent for 2 and 3, A2 and 3, put it at 2025. That should be 2024 for both of those.
Okay, so that's item A,
A2 and
2 and
A3.
3, the appointment of planning and zoning commissioners, something to do with the year of expiration? Is
Yeah.
it, or renewal, whatever?
Wards 1 and 2 end on an even year, 3, 4, and 5 on an odd year. This will mess it all up. Anyway, we established that last year.
Those are the unexpired terms of David Rogers and Kendrick Davis.
I know they're-
They are going from what was on the ordinance, so I will have to look at it.
We changed that last year in May and June. Yeah, we all
They
went,
both were appointed after that change had happened, so I was just grabbing the exact term that they had filled.
this will put every one of them expiring on an odd year, and that's not a good thing.
I thought we passed, I thought we passed an ordinance where all the terms that were unexpired were modified to.
Maybe we did. We had modified it, made 2-year terms, and then we put wards 1 and 2 on, ended on an even year, 3, 4, and 5 end on an odd year, and that separated them.
That way they would expire
We fixed that
the
ordinance
same
last
year
year.
as our renew, they're 2-year, right? On the same as whoever got not
If you
our, because
contact
I'm not a
David
council
Mecklin, he
person
fought that
anymore.
battle, and we finally
They
got it
would
right.
be on the same year with each of y'all.
To coincide, correct.
You have Miss Glass, Mr. Newton, and Miss Head, who will be expiring in 2024. And then you have
So you reversed
Mr.
it.
Rogers, I'm sorry. You have 3 that will be expiring. You are right that it is expiring in 2025. So they will have to be looked at, but they are filling the term that Rogers and Davis.
Well, that term, we changed it last year to where it would be only a 2-year term. It should have ended on an even year. And wards 1 and 2 end on an even year. That's why we changed it.
Right, I thought part of the ordinance was that existing terms were all modified to fit what we passed.
We did. We did it in May and June. We fought that battle.
Yeah, David and Mr. Carter worked tirelessly on that.
I wouldn't have believed how long it took just to fix something like that.
So I will have the term corrected before this evening, but I will state that due to the delay on when the ordinance was done, there were some confusions because the terms, it had people's terms expiring.
Well, we reestablished it at 2 years, and this puts it at a 3-year term. So that doesn't,
I will fix it, and I'll show you later so that we don't kill time, but I'll have it fixed.
okay.
So, Mr. Drummond, do we have to, since we approve those, is there any issue because of the dates?
I think as long as we specifically have the terms according to what Mr. Carter wanted.
2024 should be the end of their terms.
One problem that may have occurred was the council voted on it. The staff member that prepared all those ordinance changes left the city, I think, before all those got uploaded. But we specifically changed the ordinance to the terms that Mr. Carter wanted.
Yeah, we fixed it last year.
Okay, so these are on the consent agenda for
So-
tonight. Is there,
We just need to adjust it so that they align with.
Need to fix it till the end of this year at 2024, both
Okay.
wards 1 and 2.
but we don't have to remove them from the consent agenda or any of that? Okay.
Mayor, if you would allow me. So I do have a city manager's report, but with everything going on, I didn't get a chance to top it. So I'm going to give you that in the city council meeting at 6 o'clock, if that's okay.
Definitely. No, that's
But I
even
would
better.
like to take this opportunity to introduce our new deputy city manager, Diana DeSanto, if you would come up, please. And I can tell you, boy, I've had it tomorrow, right? So just in the few days that she's been here, I've already seen a difference. She's beginning to take some of the load off a little bit. So, and I appreciate that. She's very knowledgeable. I look forward to working with her, and I think she is a great addition to our team.
Thank you. Yeah, it was good to walk in. I'd almost forgotten yesterday was the first day, and I wasn't hanging around City Hall enough, I guess, to see you. But anyway, welcome to Villa Rica. It's good to see you start. You want to say hi or anything else?
I do. First of all, I want to say thank you very much. It's a lot of trust that you have to put somebody in this position. And I know trust gets built over time, and I just appreciate the amount of trust that you guys have shown thus far. Jeff, thank you so much for the opportunity. When I met the leadership team here, something touched me and made me feel like this was the place that I needed to be. And just in these first few days, I've continued to feel it. This meeting has been amazing. I've appreciated your comments, everyone's comments, the collaboration. It just has really eased everything that I have felt. And again, I just want to thank you all for your trust in me.
That's good to hear, and we're going to try not to overload you. Right? We stay busy, though, in Villa Rica, we do. Yeah, it'll be a good idea tonight. There's more people here, that, people really, and watching, and they really appreciate hearing the report, so that'll be perfect. We're now going to move into public.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
You need to do consent items review.
Oh, okay, let's do consent item review. All right, first item, number 1, appointment of Planning and Zoning Commissioner for Ward 1. Number 2, appointment of Planning and Zoning Commissioner, Ward 2. Number 3, the Villa Rica Parkway Final Plat. Number 4, Water Mist 2B Final Plat. Number 5, firearm disposition and purchase. Number 6, addition of no left-hand turn signal at Punkintown Road in front of Publix. Number 7, sewer delegation. Number 8, Hickory Falls Lift Station. Number 9, Highway 61 water main extension. Number 10, proposal of, to design water pump station on Highway 61. Does that sound right? Anybody see anything else? Okay, good. We'll now move into public comment portion of the meeting. No one signed up. Is there anyone who wishes to speak? Because if there's not, I won't bore everyone with my public comment statement. Is there anyone that wishes to speak during public comment? Okay, y'all get to wait and hear it tonight then. All right, I think we're finished unless there's anything else. Anything else to add here?